It's match point in the 34th America's Cup. Just one more win and Emirates Team New Zealand will fulfill their quest to win World Sailing's Holy Grail. Standing in their way, Jimmy Spithill and his team aboard the Defender, Oracle Team USA. With nothing to lose, they're putting it all on the line to keep the Cup in America. For the U.S. team, today is do or die. Win, and the contest continues. Lose, and the America's Cup will be New Zealand's once more. The showdown continues in San Francisco. This is the 34th America's Cup. Welcome to San Francisco, California, day 9 of racing in the city by the bay for the 34th America's Cup. Alongside Gary Jobson and Ken Reed, I'm Todd Harris. Glad to have you with us on what could be the final day of competition. The Kiwis needing just one more victory to take home the Cup, and the Americans, it is do or die, Ken, win or go home. And they seem like, if you talk to them, they're up to the task.
Well, you can say it, Todd, but can you actually do it? They come in from the favored side in both starts today. That's actually been great. It's kind of like being on the inside of the front row in car racing. Obviously for Emirates Team New Zealand, Grant Dalton has a chance to make history and step out from under the shadow of the late Peter Blake and bring home an America's Cup to New Zealand.
So the Kiwis will try hard to wrap things up today. 2 races scheduled, and the Americans would love to extend this into next week. But can they get it done? It's win or go home in San Francisco. Ken Reed takes us through the starting lineup for the challenger, Emirates Team New Zealand.
Adam Bichel and Jeremy Lomas are forward blocking the spray for the rest of the boys, as well as handling all the daggerboard control functions. Chris Ward, Rob Waddell, Derek Sayward, and Chris McCasey are the engine above the deck, constantly turning the handles which power hydraulic systems as well as sail trim functions. Trimmers Glenn Ashby and James Dagg form the team that keeps the 2 foils above the water working at maximum efficiency. And in the afterguard, Dean Barker and Ray Davies need to win one more start convincingly in order to maximize their chances to bring the Cup back to the sailing-crazed nation of New Zealand.
So those are the 11 men charged with bringing back the Cup to a very sailing-happy nation. It's Dean Barker and company, and they know exactly what to expect from the Americans.
Oh, we rate them very highly. You know, there's no question that they're a strong team, and they've got better as this events progress. So, yeah, it's been good to get a good buffer on them early on. And, yeah, they've come on strong. We think the stronger winds suit them for sure, and I think we made some good gains there. We've got lighter conditions today, and we feel that, you know, that makes our boat probably a little bit more competitive. So, yeah, it remains to be seen. They may have improved in the stuff also, and if they have, we'll have our work cut out for us.
And now let's meet the defenders of the America's Cup, Oracle Team USA.
Shannon Falcone and Joe Spooner are up front, taking the brunt of what San Francisco Bay has to throw at them. Shannon says he needs a snorkel in this front cockpit during the pre-start entry. The middle 2 cockpits see Jono Macbeth, Gilo Nobili, Simeon Tiempon, and Rome Kirby from Newport, Rhode Island. Trimmers Kyle Langford and Joey Newton control the foils above the deck, the hard wing aft and the soft foil forward. And in the afterguard, where the pressure squarely sits, Jimmy Spithill, Tom Slingsby, and Ben Ainsley, they keep talking about how tough this team is. In an 8-1 hole, they better come out swinging today.
Well, if body language has anything to do with it, the boys from Oracle Team USA seem like they are up to the task and ready to go sailing. And talking with Jimmy Spithill, he says the mood among the crew is very high.
The boys are fired up, you know. I mean, we've been in tough situations before. We've mounted big comebacks, and to be honest, I think everyone's kind of excited to be in this position. They want to just come back and prove everyone wrong and get the result. We've always wanted challenges. We've always wanted to be pushed hard, and we are. And, you know, we've got to get out there and try and get it done.
The story so far in the 34th America's Cup has been one of two teams racing complex wing-sailed foiling machines to incredible skill levels. How Dean Barker and the crew of Emirates Team New Zealand held onto their boat on the edge of destruction will be a talking point for years.
New Zealand almost capsized.
Oh my
gosh!
And how James Spidhill and his crew on Oracle Team USA started to claw back points against a Kiwi masterclass in preparation, speed, and performance is another display of true sportsmanship.
I've been telling you guys all along that we can win races, and today to come from behind on the upwind leg was a big boost for the guys.
In yet another nail-biter, race 11 yesterday saw Emirates Team New Zealand slow the American boat down before the start, then luff them up into a slow mode, giving Dean Barker the chance to accelerate ahead to Mark 1 and the entire course. James Spidhill and his superstar Olympic tactician Ben Ainsley tried all the tricks in the book, but they couldn't pass. This time, can teams pass on this course? Oh yes, race 1 saw 3 lead changes alone. Anything is possible on this track.
There's the cross. Oracle Team USA have done it. A lead change, and the Americans are now in the lead.
Race 12 looked like another display of perfect speed on distance to the line by the Kiwis. But race officer Ian Murray pulled the plug due to too much wind.
Racing is down ahead to the wind limit, and we have more racing today. Sorry, guys.
So it's been official. Racing has been terminated for the day. The postponement is on, and we will have to move to day number 9. We can boo him. He is responsible for keeping these sailors alive, and that is final. So now the situation is simple. This is a key moment in the sport of sailing. Can Oracle Team USA win 8 races in a row? An almost impossible task to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Or can Emirates Team New Zealand win 1 race today and smash the local team out of their very own ballpark? Wherever you're watching, from the water here in San Francisco, or in the park overlooking the action, or at school missing math, nice one. Shuffle closer to the edge of your seat. This is a Clash of the Titans. And there is a live look of the entry box here for the 34th America's Cup on day 9, race number 12, scheduled to get underway in just a matter of moments. And there is the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge off in the distance. And right now, the conditions look absolutely perfect as we take a look at the standings thus far. 8 wins to 3, or 8 points to 1. New Zealand needing just 1 more victory and the cup is theirs, and the Americans have to win out. 1 more loss to Oracle Team USA, and it is a done deal. Conditions have always been a huge factor anytime you come to this part of the world. Today, no different. For more on that, we check in with the 3rd member of our broadcast crew. Here's Gary Jobson down on the water to let us know exactly what we should expect.
Well, Todd, the wind is good. 16 knots, not very much current. Ebb is just starting right now. But I've been watching these boats tuning up. Oracle Team USA have done about 10 time runs here already this morning. They know the premium is on the start. Look, this is a team that I think does not want to go home right now, and winning rests in the head of Jimmy Spithill. Can he put it together? Hey, it's going to be great fun to watch.
No question about it. We'll have more from Gary Jobson throughout the day's racing. Give you a good idea of what the current is doing today. Yesterday, we had the big blue arrows as the tide was just flooding out of San Francisco Bay. Kenny, not so much today.
Not so much, Todd, but the ebb is starting, and it will increase as the day goes along. You see the bigger arrows on the left-hand side, right along the shore front. That's where the ebb starts first. That's going upwind where the boats will tend, towards the left side, towards the shore front. Good for all the people out there watching the race. And then, of course, the race course itself. This is the new style race course for the America's Cup with the reaching start to Mark 1. Todd, you can obviously make a really strong case that the first person to Mark 1 goes on and wins the race, with these boats so even in speed right now, up and down 1.5 times, and then the quick reach into the finish. We could see history off of America's Cup Park today.
So day number 9 is just about set to get underway. This will be race number 12, with the Kiwis needing just 1 victory, the Americans needing 8. And there is Emirates Team New Zealand getting themselves into position. As Gary and Ken have talked about, the Americans will have the better advantage today starting port entry, so give them a little bit of a push there. But man, Dean Barker and his crew have done such a fantastic job weathering not only the conditions, but the pushing they've been getting from Oracle Team USA when they've seized back a lot of the momentum.
And they will have gone in last night and sat in front of the video machine and watched start after start, trying to come up with a better strategy coming from the right side where it says NZL, the right side of our TV screen. That has definitely not been the favored side. You come in 10 seconds late, it allows the other guy to set up, and that setup has been dominating. But the ebb isn't as strong, so the bottom side of the starting line, the side towards the bottom of the screen, may not be as strong in this first race.
The Americans on the left, the Kiwis on the right, as we take you on board Emirates Team New Zealand and their crew, and they have done just a fantastic job. Give whatever credit you want to the pie warmers on the back of the boat, but this has been really Dean Barker, Ray Davies and company, just been the faster boat so far in this regatta.
They've been the better boat, clearly the better boat. It's interesting, Jimmy Spithill said he's excited to be in this position in that pre-dock. I don't know anybody who's excited to be down 8-1.
On board Oracle Team USA as they go through final preparations to get underway. They know exactly what they have to do, not lose.
Yeah, these guys, hey, the pressure is firmly on. I think, like Gary said, the pressure's firmly on Jimmy Spithill here right now. You'd love to spread it out amongst the team, but the helmsman has so much to do with the instincts when it enters that starting box. Getting off the line first is imperative for Oracle.
So with 2:41 now to go until the start of the race, we check in on the water with Gary Jobson for a report on the conditions.
Hey, Todd, Kenny, the wind has really changed here. Just in the last 3 or 4 minutes, it's blowing in hard. I expect the chop to get pretty nasty out here, and both boats have bigger jibs than they had up yesterday. So shifting gears and being able to handle heavy winds with such big sails is going to be a tough one.
Well, the wind is now peaking, as Gary pointed out, closer to 17 knots. Wind limit should not be a problem in this first race, but in San Francisco it always builds in the afternoon. And here come the Americans into the start box as they have port entry.
Todd, it'll be interesting to see if they take this port entry and they just try to go down deep in the box like we've seen before. Very close cross, port starboard. Team New Zealand's right on their tail out of the blocks, not making it easy for Oracle, that's for sure.
Ken, the closest we've seen the boats at this point early in the start.
When the boats are that close, it typically forces the boat ahead to actually commit a little sooner than they'd like to. And all of a sudden, it gives New Zealand the option to possibly take that bottom side of the start line that we've seen to be so valuable. This is a big switch up as to what we've seen in the last few days.
Both boats very close to the line. They'll have to kill a lot of speed here.
Now, Gary, they were so close coming together there. That typically also means that the breeze has gone to the left, that it's a left shift coming off the shore. Do you see that?
I do see that, and I think Jimmy's going to go for a hook and try and get underneath now with them so close.
Todd, they're really far down in the box. They're down near that yellow line, which is the lay line to the mark. It's hard to hook when you're down that far down the line. Let's see if Team New Zealand can hold them off. Pretty close to the line, though, with 25 seconds to go.
Both boats very much at risk of being over.
And Spithill gets the dominant hook. Just as I was saying, it's going to be hard for him to do. Dominant hook. Team New Zealand tacks to port. They'll come right at them on starboard again, and they're going to be late. Jimmy Spithill nails it.
Big tacks back. Okay, here we go.
So the all clear is given, and we are racing. Day number 9, race 12 is off.
Wow.
The mistake by New Zealand was being too close to the line too early.
Well, they got that chance to jump in front and to try to take the left side of the starting line early on in the 2-minute sequence, and it didn't work. They were too early, like Gary said. Oracle pounced.
Good puff for the barrel here.
We're 2 lengths ahead. And at mark number 1, it's the Americans with the lead in a do-or-die situation here in San Francisco. The lead is just 5 seconds. Now, the Americans have been the faster boat on the downwind leg, Ken. The big question is now, can they build on this?
Yeah, breeze off the shoreline. Let's see if this left-hand shift, or the breeze has shifted to come off the city front, off the shore side here. Let's see if they can really milk this, go all the way down the city front, an awful long way. That always benefits the boat out in front.
I noticed New Zealand going up and down on its hull a lot more than the American boat, an indication that maybe Dean Barker's having a little trouble steering. Nervousness being behind, maybe?
Go through. Good mode. Okay, let's set up. Stand by. Go back, Tommy. Go forward, Simeon. Keep going, Simeon. Standing by. 3, 2, 1, driving.
Let's go back to the start quickly as they make their first jibes here. Was this a question of Dean Barker being a little too aggressive, Ken Reed? And did Jimmy Spithill make the most of it?
Well, they went at 2 minutes. They came together, and they were so close. This all of a sudden gave Dean Barker a lot more options than we've seen the boat coming from the starboard tack side have in the past. So, yeah, did he change up his strategy? Absolutely, as you would, but it should be an advantage at this stage. Problem was that they got too close. Team New Zealand got too close to the line. They get a proper hook, and rest is history.
Here it is on Virtual Eye one more time. The Americans getting the port entry. They come in very fast. They go deep. But this time the Kiwis, look how close that cross was.
It was a close cross, and all of a sudden they decide to take the lead back. Jimmy Spithill does a nice job of being patient here. I was worried that they were going to be too low on the ley line for that left-hand end. He knows a little more than I do about how these multi-hulls work, and got a nice little late hook and really forced the issue right away. He also was very patient there. He could have gone with Team New Zealand onto port tack. That makes him very vulnerable as the rules go. He just stayed, waited, and then took off at the right time. This is textbook, what we call a hook.
Back to live racing action. This is leg number 2 of race 12 as we check in on the water with Gary Jobson.
Well, the race continues here. New Zealand about 100 yards behind going downwind. The speed's not very much different. We're going to look for a split at the leeward gate, taking off on opposite sides of the course.
A little bit quicker, maybe. Touch. Okay, Bill. Yeah, we're slightly slower. Here it comes. Okay. Pressure should be okay here. No interim. We're slightly faster, slightly higher, but similar to
That's the job of the strategist, Tom Slingsby, just calling the other boat. Actually, what you'll notice, they're calling their own boat. It's a very typical of the strategists. They refer to only their boat. We are blank. We are higher, we are slower, we're faster. Really good communication.
2, 1, driving.
Certainly no sense of panic on the American boat, that's for sure.
So the Kiwis determined now is the time to jibe as they set themselves up for mark number 2. This could be the telltale sign of the race of who goes which way. The Americans obviously would love to get a split, but Ken, you and Gary both pointed out the left side of the course going back upwind will be the fastest.
Yeah, there's big current lines out there right now, too. Look at that, Todd. That big current line. This is a tough spot if you're ahead. You really have to try to plan out. You have to have well ahead of time your strategy of where you want to be on this beat. And you can see Oracle wants to be heading out into the middle likely. They're going to do one more jibe and in is my guess.
Keep it on the foil, boys, around here, okay?
Second, and then we'll get camber.
They jibe back now, no problem.
Yeah.
Favour to this left gate.
So this will create the split that Gary was referencing, with Oracle heading offshore and Team New Zealand heading inshore. Not much in it.
And at mark number 2, it's the Americans first there. They head outside, so they will head into deeper waters, and that leaves the option open for the Kiwis at mark 2. And they will split the course.
Gary, I'm kind of surprised that Oracle chose to go offshore here. I mean, I was surprised at how late they were at the hook at the mark and at the start. What do I know? But you would think the ebb is actually increasing along the shore front quicker than it is offshore right now. I'm surprised they chose this route.
Yeah, Ken, well, first of all, you know a lot, so don't underestimate your knowledge here. I'm surprised, too. Why open the door? We know the ebb's going to be better along the shore, and the water's going to be a little bit less choppy. Where Oracle's right now, the waves are going to be pretty nasty.
So an early tack for Oracle Team USA. Their lead was 11 seconds after mark number 2. They led by 5 seconds at mark number 1.
Probably foiling on us.
Get pressure here.
And the lead is shrinking.
The only problem for New Zealand, you don't want to get too close to the shore because the wind, to my eye, Kenny, is really light right up along the shoreline, along the city front.
Happy with the mud?
I think he's saying that they're faster all the time.
You see Oracle actually foiling right there, Todd. They're in a high speed mode right now. You sail upwind in different modes, a high mode or a low mode. There's that current that we were referencing. I'm really surprised Oracle chose to go offshore first, but here comes our first big cross, and let's see how they go.
Perfect place to tack for New Zealand. If they'd gone 5 lengths further, the wind would have gone way down.
So, Ken, is this a case of the Kiwis are basically on a conveyor belt when you talk about the current going upwind?
That's exactly what they are. That's exactly, and we're going to find out how much of a conveyor belt. I think they've closed up quite a bit here. It's not exactly a dip. It's not as tight across as we've seen in the past, but they are certainly a lot closer, and I would attest that to be even just a better current that whole time.
Of course, now Oracle could take advantage of the current inshore, but they too can't get too close where the wind is light.
Kiwis traveling at 25 knots currently. They trail the Americans, who have led for the entire race. And the Americans now in a very favorable position, but as Gary pointed out, light wind on the left side of the track.
But they were just going 31 knots upwind. Who would ever have thought these boats could have gone 30 knots upwind? It's really, it's remarkable. We started the Louis Vuitton series, they were going 30 knots downwind, to give you an idea of how much gain there's been in the speed of these boats. Nice little extension by Oracle here.
Here they go. 300-meter separation.
Good opportunity for Oracle to tack on New Zealand's breeze, but they don't seem to be taking it.
No, I think it's a little too close, Gary. To throw 2 tacks in that close to the shoreline, I think would be a tough spot for any catamaran.
Well, that's an impressive sight. Yeah, that's an impressive sight right there.
Foiling upwind was kind of like, have you seen Sasquatch when we first got to San Francisco? People had said they've seen it, but no one was for sure. And now, in fact, it's a common sight.
Sasquatch? We've been doing this too long.
Here's the cross on leg number 3. So the Americans have the lead. Can they hold on to it? We'll find out shortly from San Francisco.
Here they
Still hovering around 100 meters. Both boats going through their tacks, heading upwind here on leg 3 of 5. The Americans must win this race or the America's Cup goes to Emirates Team New Zealand.
Looks like they're just coming into same current now. They're out of one of those big current lines, both boats. Really, for the first time, they're probably in very similar currents, side to side.
Gary, what can you tell us about the current status right now?
Well, I'm looking at the boats coming right up the city front, and right now you want to be close to the city. That current is sweeping out toward the Golden Gate, and that's why this is so close now.
A huge moment here in San Francisco on the cross, leg number 3. The Americans with the slight advantage over Emirates Team New Zealand in a must-win situation.
As always, the Kiwis will never go away. Their tenacity is incredible. I'm actually surprised that Oracle forced them back into the left so early on those last 2 tacks, because it just kind of pushed them in the right place. You love it when your competitor pushes you in the right spot.
Nice tack. Beautiful. Up to speed. Up to speed.
Never slower than 17 knots going through a tack. That is impressive.
Man, if they learned how to do that.
What the boys are referring to earlier this regatta, the Americans clearly having issues getting their tacks in, and they have certainly worked that problem out.
You can see that current line right in the middle of the screen. It's better on the left side of the screen than the right.
Got a shot of Ben Ainsley, the 4-time Olympic gold medalist, playing tactician for Oracle Team USA.
Going really well, fully foiling upwind.
Okay, go set up, stand by.
You're going to see Oracle tack on Team New Zealand here for sure and keep the left side of the race course.
Okay, anytime.
I think New Zealand should attack a lot sooner to get back to the left.
Keep going, guys. Nice work. Really nice mode there. He takes back. Straight into that mode, guys. That's perfect. Make sure we got the pressure. Pressure's good here.
Constant chatter on Oracle Team USA. Emirates Team New Zealand drifting back just a bit as the lead now has gone out to 150 meters. And Ken, not a minute and a half ago, it was within 30 meters.
I think Oracle has a really nice mode. They keep talking about their mode, as do we. I think they found a really nice mode in this ebb current that they could go super fast in. Boat seems to be performing very well upwind here today.
The wind is getting a little lighter as they approach the windward mark.
But a good play by Ben Ainsley here, forcing your competitor in the direction you think is wrong tactically. Force them out into less current. You take the side you think has more current. And possibly a better wind shift.
Right side of your screen.
USA. Yeah, big game.
Right side of your screen, you got a good look at Rome Kirby and Jonah Macbeth grinding away.
Coming into more pressure.
There's the goal on this beat. Gate number 3 with the Americans out in front. Their lead 128 meters and growing.
There we go. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Now Oracle's trying to set up Team New Zealand for that one final kill. That one, force them to do one more maneuver than they have to do as they come into this weather mark, or force them to overstand the mark. Either way, the boat ahead is always, they have big opportunity to gain here. Here we go. They're going to do 2 tacks. My guess, Team New Zealand, Oracle will only do 1.
No problem. 10 seconds.
Good call, Ken. Ben Ainsley says, let's just go to the ley line. We don't want any extra tacks. Let New Zealand make them.
And as the Americans hit the ley line, the lead is up to 150 meters on leg number 3.
Something interesting between Ben Ainsley and what John Kostecki was doing at the beginning of the week. He brings himself into the middle of the boat a lot during these races, where Kostecki was always grinding from the high side and doing tactics from there. Has to be very difficult to see your opposition on the other side of a wing.
So the strategy pays off for the Americans. They force the Kiwis into an extra tack as the Americans hit gate number 3 first, but it is a very small lead, and it looks like Jimmy Spithill will opt for the deeper waters. He rounds gate number 3. The Kiwis heading the opposite direction, and again, they have split the course. So the race is on to mark number 4. The Americans lead still over 100 meters over the Kiwis. So Gary Jobson, you'd have to consider Mark III a huge success strategically for the Americans.
Well, 10 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but that's about 8 boat lengths. We are right next to Oracle Team USA now. They just went through a perfect jive and another huge gain. Being offshore here out in the middle of the bay is a big advantage.
Normal mode here. Okay. No problem with him. Nice game.
So the Americans go into normal mode. There you see the gain, Ken. Folks at home may be saying, well, it's still 8-1. The Kiwis have this thing wrapped up. The sense you get, though, is you do not want to give the Americans any more momentum than they already have.
That's exactly right. And Dean Barker knows in that pre-race interview, he said, these guys are formidable, they're dangerous, we don't want to let them off the mat, so to speak. And sure enough, they're giving them a chance right now.
Leg 4 of 5. This is race number 12, day number 9 of the 34th America's Cup. Alongside Gary Jobson and Ken Reed, I'm Todd Harris. The Americans firmly in control of this one, and they have to be. If they lose another race, the America's Cup leaves their hands and goes back to New Zealand.
I got it.
So the Americans sailing 2 knots faster downwind. They have the lead. They look very smooth. And Ken, for the folks watching at home, they may say, we were less than 100 meters as they approached gate number 3. Where did everything go wrong for the Kiwis and right for the Americans?
Well, it doesn't take much. First of all, when you round the weather mark, that weather gate, you automatically accelerate. You start going about 10 knots faster than the other boat going upwind. So you automatically create a jump just from going downwind compared to upwind. And then they obviously got this first wind shift correct. There's a little bit of luck involved in that, but at the same time, you make your own luck. They clearly got into the first wind shift and at least doubled, maybe tripled their lead.
And Gary, you're down on the water. What did you see? What did the Americans do so right, and where did the Kiwis miss out?
Well, we saw the wind getting lighter as they were getting up toward that windward gate. Just wasn't much along the shore. New Zealand rounded the left gate, went along the shore, and that's where they lost the distance. They didn't have the wind to give them the speed.
The Todd, to be honest, they didn't have a choice either. You know, the lead boat dictates what the boat behind is going to do going into those situations. The Kiwis took the hand that they were dealt, and it didn't work.
Yeah. And going. I'd say he's doing 37s probably, and he's gaining there.
Emirates Team New Zealand General Manager Grant Dalton on board as a grinder. And right now, there's nothing that he can do to help them to go any faster. It looks like from that shot they're close, but as we pull out, you'll see that it is well over 400 meters away, what we like to refer to as the Batmobile. And Emirates Team New Zealand is running out of time and distance.
You know, having Grant Dalton on the boat has been very important. He gets off often in the second race, but I think he needs to stay on board, settle this team down for the second race this afternoon.
Well, for the longest time, we have said that the Kiwis are just the faster boat here at this 34th America's Cup. But the numbers don't lie, and right now, Kenny, the Americans are clearly the faster boat.
Yeah, it could really be a little of anything. Remember, compared to most boats that we sail, these guys actually sail into the puffs dead in front of them. Where the breeze is coming from, those accelerations or decelerations are right in front of them. That's how fast they go. That's how much apparent wind they create. So it's a whole different philosophy. You can literally sail into a puff and extend and sail away, and there's nothing the boat behind can do about it.
20 seconds. 15. 10. 5. Go board.
Todd, you can't help but think this has been a long few weeks, long couple of years, but these guys have been non-stop now for days and days in a row. Exhaustion has to happen at some stage.
Mark number 4 is the Americans, and now they head for home.
Pressure's good all the way. Karen will be helping you up here, Jimmy.
And unlike yesterday, mark number 4, not that close. As the Kiwis make the turn, they are down by 29 seconds as the Americans head for home, and this victory will go the way of Oracle Team USA. Ken, they did exactly what they had to do. As you pointed out, they had to get the start. That was mission number 1.
They must have read our pre-race script. I mean, really, give these guys a lot of credit. The pressure is all over them, and they have performed under the heat that the world sailing community is just heaping on these guys. Really well done by Oracle Team USA in this race.
So the Americans will come to the line and they will extend this series. Oracle Team USA gets the win in race 12. No major celebrations on board. That is just one down. They need 7 more wins to keep the cup. And for the Kiwis, Dean Barker, you can always imagine what he's going to say. It's one race.
Regroup. Just get over it. There's one thing, these Kiwis, their incredible composure and demeanor, just solid, flatline demeanor. These guys will be totally sorted out and ready to go for this next race.
Well, the proud Kiwis are out in force for the school children back in Auckland. Unfortunately, celebration cannot happen just yet, as we have been extended now to race 13. And now the biggest question is, what will Mother Nature do? Knowing San Francisco and the way the wind builds in the afternoon, everyone will now start looking at the numbers. But the most important number is the Americans pick up win number 4 of this regatta, and they keep the Kiwis from getting win number 9 and game, set, match.
You saw the coach, the coaches completely surrounding the afterguard there, Spithill, Ainsley, and they're talking about strategy already. What they liked, what they didn't like, what they saw, what they didn't see. Really good opportunity for these guys just to do a quick regroup and to start working on their strategy immediately for the next race.
Ken, I might see a sail change here. They have a pretty big sail up. The wind is building, so they might change that jib to forward sail.
And Gary, while we've got you on the horn, what do you think about the wind? We've been building the last few days. It's been like clockwork. Do we get the second race in today?
Well, it is a little less at this point than it was yesterday, so maybe that helps out. But the current is starting to ebb, which lowers that wind limit. It's a wait-and-see situation. We've got roughly a little over a half an hour for the next start.
So we can tell you this, on day number 9, race 12 goes the way of Oracle Team USA, the defenders of the America's Cup. It now stands 8 wins for New Zealand, 4 wins for the USA, or 8 points to 2 points. So the Americans clearly not out of the woods yet. They will regroup, head back out to the start as Larry Ellison and company look on, because they are still, Ken, despite this, they are still in win or go home mode.
I don't see Larry exactly jumping up and down, but you got to say there's certainly a sigh of relief from that tender. That's for sure. He's been out there on the water just about every day. There we go. Little cheer for the boys from the boss. Anything you can get at this stage, just one race at a time, like they keep saying.
And there's a sail change.
So good call by Gary Jobson. Changes being made, all kinds of things going on board Oracle Team USA. The defenders, meanwhile, Emirates Team New Zealand will take quick stock of what went wrong, and I'm sure they're going to go back and immediately talk about the start.
Yeah, they come in, though, from the same exact side. But we've lost so many days. We've gotten out of sequence. It was originally designed so you'd come in from the port side one race per day and come in from the starboard side the other race per day. We've gotten just a little out of sequence. Today happens to favor the Americans in both races. They'll be coming up in from that favored side. There'll also be a stronger ebb, so there may even be more of an advantage to that favored side, that left side of the start box.
Massive sales coming off of Oracle Team USA as they are in fact making a change. We now go on board with the helmsman of Oracle Team USA, the defenders of the Cup, Jimmy Spithill. Jimmy, congratulations. I noticed not a lot of celebrating after you got that win, and the boys immediately going back to work.
Yeah, it's straight back to the business. The boys are really focused today and very hungry, and they're just really accepting the challenge. So we're straight on to the next one, and that's how we're going to treat it, one after the other.
So Jimmy, down 8-1, now 8-2. Is there more pressure or less pressure? You can actually make a case. The mountain seems so high at this stage. There's actually less pressure. Nothing to lose as you go out there.
Yeah, in some ways there is. I mean, yeah, look, we love a challenge, and we've certainly got what we wish for here. But I tell you, the boys this morning, it was almost a bit of excitement, you know, because they really embraced it, and you know, they just held a fantastic race. So look, we've just got to really focus one at a time, do the little things right, and keep chipping away.
Jimmy, we always thought you were a little suspect in the middle breezes, but you're foiling upwind in the middle breeze, upper middle, going faster. How are you able to keep increasing your speed?
Just a lot of hard work, Gary. I mean, we've just every night we've been very, very critical with each other and pretty candid, and you know, the design engineering guys have been spending a lot of time at it, and we're just trying to improve every single day. I mean, the learning curve since we started the America's Cup has just been very, very steep, and every single day we're learning something, and hopefully we can make a couple of steps for this next race as well.
Well, Jimmy, the start looked awfully good. Might have to start referring to you as Captain Hook as you put it on the boys from New Zealand. Best of luck to you. We'll see you in the next race.
Thanks, guys.
Jimmy Spithill, the helmsman for Oracle Team USA, as they pick up the victory in race number 12 here on day number 9. The Kiwis regrouping as well, making changes on board, getting a little nutrition to the lads on the boat. And you know the Kiwis well, Kenny. They won't be rattled at all.
And there's the king of not being rattled, Mr. Dalton.
Grant Dalton, the general manager of Emirates Team New Zealand, now joins us. All right, Grant, what's the mood like on board Emirates Team New Zealand, and where did that race get away from you?
Well, I mean, it's always hard in starboard entry, you know, and I mean, we've always sort of seen these two as very difficult because of the starboard entry, and tried to get the action in the start, didn't quite work out. I thought our speed was okay. Got back into it at the top mark, not much in the boats upwind really, and probably similar downwind. So pretty hard to make that deficit up, and they're getting better. We just got to keep chipping away at it.
Hey Grant, are you on for this next race, or are you gonna take a breather and let Winston take over?
Yeah, no, Winston will be on for the next race, mate. A little bit of muscle on board.
Grant, have you been making some changes to your boat? You know, we keep seeing Oracle Team USA improving. Have you been trying to make some improvements yourself?
Yeah, I think we have, and we were a lot faster yesterday. We've sort of gone back to the configuration today, you know, targeting the first race. Now we're knowing the breeze, as we targeted yesterday morning's race, breeze up a bit now, so we're probably in, you know, kind of a more light air configuration. So, but starboard advantage now, particularly as the ebb's starting to run, makes it real hard. Although in that race that got blown off yesterday, we had a blinder, but unfortunate really. But yeah, I mean, it's a more normal configuration now, but yesterday was definitely slightly different.
Grant, can you speak to the pressure at all that you and the boys are feeling, knowing that the entire nation of New Zealand is glued to their TVs right now, expecting you to bring home the cup?
Well, we try and hold it out a little bit. We know it's there. We know there's a nation watching this. But once you go into the start box, you don't really think of that anymore, and you just do your job as best you can.
Dalton, we'll let you get about your business. Appreciate your time.
No problem.
Grant Dalton, the general manager of Emirates Team New Zealand, with his hands full as their boys now get back up towards the start of the box, and they will get ready for race number 13. Can the Kiwis turn the tide and close this thing out and take back the cup? Want to take a look back at race number 12 here on day number 9. The start was huge, and how about this high-speed cross, Ken? The 10-second advantage to port was really to avoid situations like this.
Yeah, but they were a bit late on Oracle, plus the fact there was probably a bit of a left-hand shift. It makes it harder for that port tack entry boat to get in. Give the original advantage for sure to Team New Zealand and keeping it close. But they had to go back early. They decided to try to step in front of Oracle. Listen, Jimmy Spithill did a really nice job of being patient, waiting, getting a hook, the dreaded hook, as you called him, Captain Hook, I believe, Todd. And all of a sudden, he's in a dominant position. Team New Zealand rolls right into attack to try to come back on starboard, but Oracle doesn't fall for it. They stay and continue and have a really nice 5-6 second lead right off the line.
And if you look at the replay of the start here, could the Americans possibly stuff the Kiwis even more off the line and just held them up even more?
No, the Kiwis did what they should do. They popped onto port tack right away and really kind of took away that option.
Here it is at mark number 1. The lead was under 5 seconds, so the race is absolutely on. You're expecting the Kiwis, they're going to pull some tricks out of the hat. Steady, calm, and cool was Jimmy Spithill, Ben Ainsley, and Tom Slingsby.
Both boats. Listen, the composure that both boats show in tough spots has been fantastic this entire event. Coming into the bottom gate, they got the split on Team New Zealand, which you know they want to get. We were a little surprised that Oracle chose this gate and got offshore. I think they were a little bit out of sequence, and sure enough, Team New Zealand got back to about a 40 meter lead at one stage.
And on the third leg, it is getting closer by the instant as the Americans go to the left side of the course, but it really all came down to gate number 3.
Gate number 3, and at that extension that the boat ahead always gets, 150 meters. Actually, Team New Zealand did a nice little job here getting it a bit closer by the time they got to the mark, which was kind of surprising because they did one extra tack, but Oracle played the numbers. They kind of went by the numbers here, and all of a sudden, takeoff time. Off they go, shot out of a cannon, boat going downwind, just automatically gets to be able to put a nice little jump on the bogey.
And at this point, it was almost over as the Americans absolutely accelerated around that next mark. They make it cleanly to mark number 4, point it for home, and cross the line well ahead, almost 30 seconds ahead of Emirates Team New Zealand to force another race today.
We're going to set up for attack, guys.
So the folks that have made their way down to the seawall here in beautiful San Francisco, they are going to see, hopefully, another race today as this America's Cup will continue on as we take a look, Ken, first at the downwind leg numbers.
Downwind leg, hey, faster, shorter distance sailed. Oracle looked really good. I think Gary pointed it out. Everybody was suspect of Oracle in these medium winds, but they were a little quicker and sailed a shorter distance. Shorter distance is likely a couple wind shifts possibly played a little bit better, but that's pretty dominant. That's a solid performance for Oracle Team USA.
As we take a look at it on virtual eye, here it is, the Americans after rounding mark number 1. Pretty close through here.
Yeah, just slowly ticking away. It's just phenomenal how two different, like I believe Dean Barker might have said yesterday, two very different design concepts turn out to be so equal, so phenomenally equal. There's just not much in this, and it's likely just a little puff here, a little puff there that's making the difference between these two boats on these legs.
Here's a look at the upwind numbers.
Upwind, we never thought we'd ever see averages like this. Almost a 25 knot speed average. Oracle did their best sailing upwind, although they did sail a little bit longer distance. That's probably the first couple tacks right around the mark, Todd, where they seem to be a bit out of phase and lose some distance to Emirates Team New Zealand. Look at the maximum boat speed. 36 knots on Oracle. I think they got a little loose a couple times. They went too far up on their foils and actually overfoiled, which means they lose leeway, but that's a whole nother different subject. Hey, bottom line is they sailed a really good race.
And on virtual eye, here it is one more time. Early on in this regatta, this was really the Achilles heel of Oracle Team USA. They would obviously love to have things back and start this over again, but they figured it out halfway through the regatta.
Look, it got a little close here for them. On this first part of the beat. They really I think they gave Emirates Team New Zealand the favored side of the race course here early, but as Gary may have pointed out, all of a sudden they get to switch over and these guys start pounding the left side of the race course, mainly because that's where there's really good current out there. This was a bit surprising. They lost a bit here. They gave up the favored left side, but they didn't let that happen again. They kept it, they did exactly what they had to do at the top of this beat. They made Emirates Team New Zealand do one extra tack, but again, there just isn't much in it. These boats are so close in speed. It's a tactician's race right now.
And there is that extra tack at the cross. It was very close. So as everyone steams up towards the start box for race number 13, final preparations being made. That's helmet number 4, Winston McFarlane, the 36-year-old out of New Zealand. He steps on board for Grant Dalton, the general manager, who took his spot in race 12. They make the change out, and as Grant Dalton told us, putting a little extra muscle on board now.
Winston McFarlane is a big boy, and good for Grant. You know, I'm very impressed with Dalton in this event. He's taken his ego completely out of away from the show, and he's doing what he thinks is right for the team.
So that will be the only change for either squad. Grant Dalton off for this next race. Winston McFarlane is on. As we take a look at the scoreboard, it is 8 wins to 4. 8 points to 2, with the Americans being docked the 2 points early on. So the Americans now need 7 wins to retain the cup, and the Kiwis just 1. An AC-72 can sail faster than the speed limit on Golden Gate Bridge. That's 45 miles an hour. These boats are clocking 50. The huge wing provides all the horsepower, but the turbo boost comes from hydrofoils, or foils.
The foils behave exactly the same as an aeroplane wing does. Just as an aeroplane, when it gets enough velocity, it lifts off the ground. The foils, when they get enough velocity, lift the weight of the boat out of the water. The reason we do that is because all of the hull dragging in the water actually is a large percentage of the total drag of the boat. When you lift it out of the water, the boat goes 10 or 15% faster immediately.
It is similar to taking off in a plane. You are limited when you're on the runway and you're sort of off down that track, and then you're up on the foils. Suddenly the boat is a lot easier to sail when you're foiling. You don't have the resistance from all that water on the hull.
The actual foils themselves are relatively small. They've got to lift 7 tons, which is the total weight of the boat and crew. But because the boats go so fast, they can be quite compact and still carry that huge amount of weight.
That weight and the pressure on the foils is astonishing. The foils must be able to withstand a minimum 8 tons of pressure to pick up and fly 7.5 tons of boat. During a turn, that pressure rises to 15 tons, the equivalent of 7 family sedans. All this on a piece of carbon fiber about the size of a surfboard. The AC-72s were not meant to foil, but a tweak in the design rule opened the door for the Kiwis to turbocharge their boat.
It's definitely been an evolution that we've been pioneering in this campaign, and I'm sure the other teams were thinking of heading that direction at some point as well, but I think we proved that it could be done.
The other teams soon followed suit.
One of the great things this America's Cup has led to is the designers having to deal with a whole new dimension of sailboat sailing. Previously, it was all about the boat going sideways and forwards, but now we've got to deal with the boat going up and down, and that's a tough problem.
The AC-72 design rule prevents active control on the rudder wings during racing. Their angle and rake must be fixed 5 minutes before the start. So the only way the sailors can control whether the boat is flying horizontally is by pivoting the daggerboard casing. This swings the board forward and aft, which pitches the bow down or up. Getting that right is one of the key challenges of this Cup.
So the whole point of trying to achieve is stable flight. So you want to have the boat foiling, about 1 metre out of the water, and it just sits in this little sweet spot and rips along at 40 knots. And if you can achieve that, you'll be looking pretty good in the racing.
And the top speeds for these AC-72s?
I don't know where the limit will be with these boats. The sky's the limit, and it's just a really exciting part of sailing.
Welcome back to America's Cup Park here in sunny San Francisco as the America's Cup continues. And one thing is for sure in this regatta, we never know for sure what is going to happen next. Hi, I'm Tucker Thompson, joined by Ian Percy, the tactician and skipper from Artemis Racing, and Chris Draper, the helmsman from Luna Rossa Challenge. And guys, Oracle Team USA did everything they had to do to stay in this regatta. They never fail to surprise us. Just when you think it might be over, they find a way to claw back and take a race. So, Chris, can Oracle Team USA keep this momentum up?
I don't know, Tucker. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Like the improvements that they've made are just insane, and the VMGs that they're sailing upwind now in that wind speed as well. We've just not seen anything like it. So it's a big surprise. But if only they'd done it a bit earlier. But it's going to be a massive hurdle to climb to try and keep it going. But we'll see. We'll see.
It was surprising, and Ian, I'm sure the Kiwis were a bit surprised in that race. What do they need to do differently to take this next race, particularly in the pre-start?
Yeah, it's the pre-start. The pre-start's defining these races. Great job there by Jimmy and the guys to hook them in with 10 seconds to go. That defined the whole race. As I said before the start, if Oracle are ahead, they're going to sail away now. If New Zealand are ahead, they're going to be pushed the whole way. That's the real change that we've seen over the last 2 weeks.
Okay, well, let's get you guys to take us through that pre-start. It's where it all went on. We begin with Emirates Team New Zealand just flying into this start on a big left-hand shift, almost a collision course there. And guys, take us through it. There's the first cross. Now we're going to shift over to virtual eye and take a look at how this start went down, what the teams could have done differently, particularly Emirates Team New Zealand.
Yeah, we saw here that Oracle were actually a little bit late for their entry, but and Team New Zealand really nailed theirs. So they were very, very close to having a piece of them. But Oracle just managed to cross, boat sailing away from the line. And like we've seen so much, the boat that enters on port and then has the opportunity to jibe back when they want is so strong. And Team New Zealand chose to switch and lead back, but ended up very, very close to the line. And the front foot was always there for Jimmy. And it's his favourite move, he loves the hook, and it's very difficult to defend against him, and he did a pretty spectacular job there.
Ian, we know that Jimmy Spithill is aggressive in these starts, and as Chris just mentioned, the hook move is one of his favorites. New Zealand set up yesterday in the race that they won low on the pin lay line. It looked like they were going to set up for the same start again, but Spithill got the better of Dean Barker there with that hook. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I thought they might jump them. I thought that Oracle could have left it quite late to go for their jibe. But the difference when you jump a boat like Team New Zealand coming in from starboard and still leading, it gets you early to the line and leaves you really vulnerable, as they were here. I thought that Team New Zealand had one more defense in them to push harder for the pin. They went for the double tack, and in the end it worked out in Oracle's favor. Gave them quite a big jump here at the start, and I kind of turned back away from the TV at this point. I thought it might be race over.
Well, it was pretty surprising. We didn't expect that. I agree with you. I thought New Zealand would have gone down for one more dig, tried to close the door for Jimmy Spithill. But look at the delta there, Chris. Pretty impressive for the American team.
Yeah, it was, and it opened up the whole downwind for them, and I think they did a cracking job. But Team New Zealand did a really good job in the latter stage of the race, which we'll see in a second. And
well, let's go to gate 2, the split, the bottom of the track. Chris, talk us through what happened there tactically, how it got set up.
Well, Oracle did a really nice job of just sailing their own race here, I think, and it gave Team New Zealand the opportunity to head towards better current, and so we saw them make quite a nice gain, and it was probably a little bit nervous on Oracle, but they've got such good boat speed that we're seeing now. So, I mean, if they just keep sailing their boat and stay in sequence with the shifts, then they're going to be strong, and that's what happened there. They opened up the opportunity. They didn't have the opportunity to be able to tack on Team New Zealand when Team New Zealand came back out of there, but they then sailed towards good current and set up the rest of their upwind leg.
Well, speaking of the upwind leg, now let's shift over with you, Ian, analyzing the tactics on Virtual Eye. We'll take a look at how it went upwind and where the passing lanes might have been. Here we go.
Well, they're crossing them here on Oracle at 35 knots of boat speed and 29 to 26. You can see the difference there is that Oracle have decided to sail much faster and much lower, but having a better VMG. Sometimes Ben Ainsley adopted a more defensive approach when he felt that the wind was favorable to tack, and other times he just said, look, I'll leave them be, I'll sail my race, we're going fast. And that tactic paid off, and you saw in the top, again, he was comfortable to leave them and just take the mark that he chose into the top. Other times, straight here, onto their face, giving them the dirty air. But Ben was sailing a boat that he knew was quicker. He sailed with confidence, and he made smart decisions, knowing that really he just needed to stay roughly with them, and he was going to lead round the top. I take my hand off really to the whole team for the development of that boat. I ask now, what would have happened if they'd been displaying this kind of speed 2 weeks ago? Here they come again into the top. They just say, look, I'll just leave you alone here. I'll go one less tack and lead by more at the bottom.
Pretty good. Not much left for Emirates Team New Zealand to do when they were at the top of the track. Let's go back one last time. And Chris, talk to us about the current on this race course. The increasing ebb played a big factor as they let them get to the left-hand side there.
Yeah, in that last race, the ebb was sort of just initiating itself. So you can see it was much, much stronger on the left-hand corner there, coming around by Aquatic Park. So that was why we saw Team New Zealand make such a good gain early, but then Oracle got a bit of it next for the rest of the upwind. And that gave them the opportunity to keep on protecting the left and stay in that early part of the ebb. This next race, though, we'll see it quite different. The ebb will have established itself a lot more throughout the course, and we'll actually see more current just back there, just next to Alcatraz, pushing up hard. So the course will open up a lot more for the next race, and it'll be a lot more about the shifts and the pressure.
Okay, lastly, Ian, you talked to me before we went on about upwind foiling. That's become a new name in this game. Let's take a look at how it went down on the race course and how it plays out to their advantage. Oracle Team USA just skimming and popping up above the water, over 30 knots of speed.
This is a real game changer. And now we're actually sailing the boats above the water upwind, and the waves are coming at you much faster. The potential gains are even more. I take my hat off here to Tom Slingsby. He's a strategist on board. He's calling the modes. What you don't want to do is go 5 degrees lower and a lot quicker when you're on the wrong angle. He's picking those moments. When he feels he's got a big shift in his favor, he'll say fast mode, he'll call for the foil, and they have the ability, therefore, to make these big jumps like we saw in the last race.
It's pretty cool to watch if you're a viewer as well. Hey, all of us might be sailing fans, but few of us have ever seen them flying above the water. The score is now 8 wins to Emirates Team New Zealand, 2 to Oracle Team USA. Can the Americans keep the momentum up and turn the tide in this regatta? We'll see for race 2 today.
This is a high-stakes competition. Obviously, the teams have put a lot of effort into this. They've prepared for this match over 3 or 4 years. There's been a huge amount of money invested in these teams, and they get one shot at it.
Well, Russell's the most successful skipper in the history of the America's Cup. He's got a gold medal.
I think there's a lot of pressure on both teams, because both teams probably know that if they lose this, the team is more than likely going to end right here, you know. So
So there's a lot of pressure. They're not only fighting for the America's Cup, they're fighting for survival.
Oh, the core strength of this team is undoubtedly its culture and its belief and its knowledge that it exists for the simple purpose of trying to return the Cup to New Zealand, a country that appreciates the Cup, that follows the Cup and loves the Cup.
From what I can see of the New Zealand campaign, this is one of the best efforts that they've put together in recent times. They really have a good shot at this.
Well, it's an if we win the Cup, and we don't give it a huge amount of thought. But the pillars that we stand on are nationality, a nationality rule, country versus country. So I think that's what it should be. Now, the next thing is the ridiculous cost needs to be absolutely nailed on the head.
We were hoping more of the teams would go from the 45 series into America's Cup. That didn't happen, but I still think this America's Cup final will end up being a great event, and you know, I think it's something that we can be proud of.
He's made the decision not to be on board, and it's not so much I've made the decision to be on board, because you've got to earn your space.
Why am I not on the boat? I'm 51 years old. I think it's just, it's obvious, you know.
If you're not on the boat, you don't know what's going on.
They require people to be extremely physically fit.
Oh, I'd like to take the America's Cup. There ain't no doubt of that.
The fact that it's close, that it's competitive, that there's two evenly matched teams at the end of this, I think that's a great outcome, and it's why we're all involved.
And those blue arrows that are superimposed on your screen tell the tale. That is the ebb tide as it is rushing out of the San Francisco Bay. That, coupled with the wind, has triggered the clock yet again. The dreaded countdown clock has been pushed back to 15 minutes again. So much like yesterday and several other days, we are in a wind limit hold at the moment.
Put down all sharp objects, Todd. You know, if you're a sailing fan, yes, this is incredibly frustrating. We're with you, folks, believe me, loud and clear. But the ebb tide rushing out of the bay, combined with the building sea breeze here in San Francisco, it's just triggering over this safety limit.
Let's check in on the water with Gary Jobson.
Well, Todd, Ken, it's blowing hard. We're over the limit here. I'm standing out here on Regardless right now. I need a seatbelt to hold on. I don't want to get washed overboard. But anyway, it's going to be very hard to get the race in. Our time limit is 2:40 p.m. local time. That's 5:40 p.m. On the East Coast, and it doesn't look good at the moment.
Well, there you see the current markings out there on the course as the wind is picking up to 21 knots. The clock has been reset again. But, Ken, I think it's the expectation that this pretty much happens every day, so really no one should be surprised.
No one should be surprised. And what really, the biggest difference between this part of the series and the first part of the series is we were in a flood tide at the first part of the series, which essentially added to the wind limit. It allowed them to sail it in windier conditions because the conveyor belt was working in an advantageous position. Here the conveyor belt is going against the wind, and all of a sudden that artificially increases the wind speed or drops the wind limit, and therefore we got this problem again. And there's really no solution until the moon switches a little bit, and all of a sudden current times change, and we get our flood current back in again, and get the wind limit to move in the other direction.
So there you see your favorite graphic, sarcastically speaking, as it continues to go over the wind limit. Anytime it dips into that yellow, that is when that clock is re-triggered yet again. And like clockwork, this pretty much happens every day here in San Francisco, and I think that's where a lot of folks that I've spoken with here in the Bay Area are frustrated in that you know this is going to happen. You know it's coming almost to the minute or the hour. You can tell when this is going to happen, and we face it every day.
Well, the word on the street is the teams have actually spoken about possibly raising the wind limit, but that doesn't matter. According to these guys, and I talked to them this morning, all three of them are actually, John Craig said, even if the teams wanted to increase the wind limit, the Coast Guard would not allow it because of the safety issues early on in the event. So whether the teams want to raise it or not, the Coast Guard has decided, because of the Artemis tragedy, that they will not allow sailing in these boats and breeze above the prescribed limit.
Quick shot of Ray Davies there talking on the radio and the entire squad of Oracle Team USA, and that is, it's not a good sight when they all have their dock jackets on. That is not racing gear that they are wearing right now. They are just in stay warm mode, and usually what that means is stay warm mode and get ready to head back to the dock.
Let's hope that somehow the trend is broken. For both of these teams, they both want to race again. New Zealand wants to end this thing.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to get up tomorrow morning and do it all over again. Those butterflies in your stomach, those pre-race rituals. And if you're Oracle Team USA, you're saying, hey, man, we just want to race. Let's keep going. Let's get on a roll here. Let's get this thing going.
But this one race a day format, it's got to favor the Americans.
Well, I think you called it yesterday that I hope you have your trick-or-treat outfit ready, because it looks like we're here for a while.
There you see the water, the current, the tide, everything playing against the racing today as we check in with Gary Jobson out on the water as everyone's looking out towards the Golden Gate Bridge. Gary, what's the latest?
Well, I think where Emirates Team New Zealand is, they're underneath the lee of the land over there by the Presidio. But there's no more lay days now between here and the end of the Cup. So you've got to be mentally prepared day after day to get the boat into water, think about changes, think about what the other guy's going. So mental toughness is going to be the difference from here on out.
And the clock has been triggered yet again. So the dance continues with Mother Nature. The wind continues to pick up. And for the time being, we are in a holding pattern in San Francisco. So, Ken, the question would be now, are the Kiwis putting away sails, or are they re-rigging the boat for something smaller?
No, they're definitely re-rigging the boat for something smaller. This would be a smaller jib. It's carbon fiber jib that they're putting up here right now. They have to stay mentally prepared. We have seen in the past where all of a sudden we've gotten a little bump either up or down in the wind speed, and all of a sudden we got a chance to sail. And if we get a chance to sail, they have to be ready. Just like Gary said, mentally and, in this case, physically ready.
Well, what we saw yesterday was the wind did dip down momentarily right at the limit of the day at 240. They got the race away, and right when they left the start box, it was blown off, and that was it. The problem is the current continues to build in the ebb at 2.9. So this is the scene in San Francisco. A lot of hurry up and wait as the Kiwis put up a new sail up front. The problem we're having is not only the wind, which always builds in the afternoon in San Francisco, but the tide. The ebb tide that is flowing out of the bay continues to build. It continues to get stronger, and that works against those three men who are trying to put on the safest race possible here in San Francisco. We are waiting for race number 13, and it is 8 wins to New Zealand, 4 wins to the U.S. The Kiwis needing just one more win, and they will be taking the cup away. And this is a slow, arduous way to try to get it. Now, for the Americans, I think they'd be happy, Ken, doing one race a day, and if they can just continue to whittle away at the Kiwis' lead.
Yeah, you really wonder at this stage, Todd. You know, one question that people keep asking is this start box entry position, is it random? I mean, who gets the choice? It actually alternates every other race. It's just the fact that we've had so many delays like this. It's thrown the sequence out of kilter, and all of a sudden, the same boat has the same starting side in one day. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen again anyway. No. So
15 minutes has been pushed yet again. The clock is now at 16:14. You see the countdown, and it is painful to get that shot, but there is the wind situation blowing out from underneath the Golden Gate Bridge at 20 knots. That coupled with a 2.9 ebb tide, and we are over the wind limit. So preparations being made in case the wind does do something and dip down, but the race start cannot happen before 2:30 local time here in San Francisco. And that is more than 15 minutes away. So as Gary Jobson pointed out, the limit for the day is 2:40. They will not start a race after 2:40 p.m. here Pacific time. So no racing will happen before that clock gets to 0, and that's if, and that is a big if, Mother Nature decides to cooperate and we do not peak over the wind limit. While we have a moment, we want to educate you on just how fast these boats can go and what is the big turbocharge behind them, the big wing. Wing sails are one of the defining factors of the 34th America's Cup. In 2010, BMW Oracle Racing used a giant rigid wing sail to beat Alinghi's more traditional sails. New Cup winners built wings into the AC-72 class rule. An AC-72 wing towers into the sky at 40 meters with an area of 260 square meters, about the same size as a jumbo jetliner wing.
We've got a great scale model here of our boat. It shows you the difference between the conventional sails, which are made from a membrane or sailcloth, to a three-dimensional wing. It's actually thick across this side, and it's made from two different elements, a front element and a trailing element. And by adjusting the angle of those elements, you can vary the power, just as if you have a 4-cylinder car or an 8-cylinder car. It's exactly the same on the wing. Lots of deflection, bend the flap a lot, lots of horsepower.
Each wing takes approximately 25,000 man-hours to build. In sailing terms, these rigid wings are the ultimate in design. In AC-72 terms, it allows the catamarans to fly 3 times the speed of the wind.
This model here at Flying on Water actually shows you how an airfoil generates the forces on the boat. You can see here the velocity of the water going past it on this side is much higher than on this side. That difference in velocity creates a difference in pressure, and it's that pressure differential across the airfoil that actually tips the boat over and also pushes it forward, just that little amount. The whole structural part of the wing is actually a solid structural piece here on the trailing edge and also on the main wing that actually takes all the structural load, a bit like a mast on a normal boat. And this is soft membranes here at the trailing edges, hard, thin shells here in this middle section, and structural components up here. So there's quite a solid piece of carbon fibre on the front, like your mast, which all of these shrouds that you can see, these stay wires attached to, keep the thing basically in place and upright. And all the rest of it are aerodynamic shells. Some of them are made from carbon fibre, some of them are made from very thin plastic membranes, but it's all about keeping the weight down, the mast straight, and turning the wind in the most efficient possible way.
Sailing with it is awesome compared to the old horse blankets we used to have up there flapping around the place.
I've entered the sport at a really good time where technology is just ramping up. This is the first time it's really on a big scale with some serious budgets.
There's no getting away from the sort of the adrenaline rush that you get just as you go from doing sort of 20-odd knots upwind to well over 40 downwind. That acceleration as you bear away is very, very hard to explain.
And there is that fixed wing on Emirates Team New Zealand. To put it in more terms that you might understand at home, that is the same height as a 13-story building. That's amazing.
And would we have a wind delay right now if you could take a reef in that sail, in that wing? That's, that's the shame of it. That's the good. We have the good and the bad of the wing. The problem is it's up there. It's just sheer power. It's there all the time. And Coast Guard doesn't like them, that's for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. You see along the city front of San Francisco and the flags on top of those buildings, and you can see the wind like it does every day around this time, around 2 o'clock, 2:30, it just builds, and it will build until around 5 or 6 o'clock in the day, and then it'll start to come back down. But unfortunately, they will not start a race here after 2:40 local time as we go on board the committee boat, and regardless, and Gary Jobson with Ian Murray.
Well, Todd, I'm here with Ian Murray. He's the race director. Ian, we keep talking about this upper limit, wind limit here, particularly with the ebb. Is there any chance that the teams, you and the Coast Guard, could agree to raise the wind limit?
I think it's a bit late in the competition for that, Gary. This was something that was agreed quite some time ago, was heavily scrutinised, and to change it halfway through the competition is, I think, unlikely. But anything's possible. This is the America's Cup, but I think right now we're dealing with the worst of it. It gets a whole lot better from here, so I'm not sure changing it would achieve much anyway.
It gets a lot better because of the current?
Yeah, we start going to the flooding tides, and we've just been caught by the last of the ebb here this afternoon.
Now, there's no lay days scheduled at all. We race every single day until this regatta concludes, correct?
We just keep going now.
So put a lot of pressure on you having conditions like this where you can't get a race in?
Oh, look, I think it's frustrating for all of us. You know, we see it here. The ebb's really starting to run. Of course, we measure it 15 minutes into the race. But of course, the breeze is building, and you know, we see these guys having great skills to sail these boats. But the rules are the rules. That's what everyone agreed to. So, you know, we have to play by the rules.
All right. Well, hopefully, we'll get a little improvement here over the next couple days. Ian, thank you for your time.
Gary Jobson with Ian Murray, the race director, and there it is again, our favorite graph to show you. It has dipped down over the last few minutes, but we are still, will not be starting a race before 2:35 local time. And we have been hearing chatter around that the wind may be dying just a little bit, but that may be too little too late here, as the clock was triggered once again back to the 15-minute countdown. And it will not start before then. You can see just how much that boat is rocking side to side. And we've even asked Gary Jobson if they can position that boat behind one of the stanchions of the Golden Gate Bridge and maybe get a little relief from the wind. But even that's not helping.
Gary, if you ever got a chance, could you ask the one thing that I don't think people have brought up with Ian is it possible that these two teams would agree to move up the races earlier in the day? Because obviously the earlier in the day we can get, the more likely we can get 2 races in. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, it would certainly be better if we had it earlier in the day. And you remember in some of the races in the Louis Vuitton Cup, we were starting at 12:10. However, there's television times to consider. And another thing that I would wonder, Ken, we have a long break between the 2 races. Maybe we could shorten up that break a little bit, because had we gotten a race in 30 minutes ago, we'd be up and racing.
All right, well, this is up to you, Gary. You got a long trip in with these guys today. Sit down. I'm sure they haven't thought of any of these things, Todd. Just could you sort them out for us, please?
Well, it was wind limit was hit yet again, and don't be angry at the messenger. I'm just telling you what we're seeing here as it comes across live line shatter. No racing before 2:37, and the most unfriendly clock in America right now shows you exactly what has happened as the wind limit was hit. That coupled with the tide, ebb tide now reaching 3 knots, so it continues to build. That brings down the wind limit, and therein lies the conundrum. We've got 2 boats full of world-class sailors, and Kenny, unfortunately, no racing.
No racing, Todd, and it doesn't look like there's an end in sight. But like Ian Murray said, these next days we will start getting into more of a flood current scenario. But these guys, you think we're frustrated? Nobody's more frustrated than these sailors out here.
New Zealand knowing that they are 1 win away from taking the America's Cup back to Auckland, where it is just starting to be springtime down there, and what a great time to have a parade. Meanwhile, Jimmy Spithill and the Americans would love to extend this thing out with every race from here on out, whether it's 2 races a day or 1 race a day. Hey, they may put off trick-or-treating to win the America's Cup, because that is a situation that we're in right now, and it looks like 1 race a day may be the format for the foreseeable future.
This is about it. I think that if it triggers one more time, we're probably done for the day, close to it anyway. And again, it's that 15-minute sequence that they have to use. It's a 30-second average over 20 knots at this stage, and you know, just doesn't look perfect for the typical San Francisco breeze.
Right now it sits at 2:37 local time here in San Francisco. That's 3 minutes away from the deadline, and there you see that's a little bit of good news on the right side of your screen. It has dipped down, but what we've noticed here in San Francisco, especially around the Golden Gate Bridge, what goes down will definitely most come up. So that's the boat that makes the decision. The fine gentlemen there dressed in the blue, those are the Coast Guard officials to make sure that Gary Jobson doesn't pull any shenanigans and drop the wind limit down. Meanwhile, Emirates Team New Zealand continues to go through minor paces with Dean Barker at the helm, and they are just looking around and they are probably feeling the inevitable. Meanwhile, Oracle Team USA doing about the same thing, as they will be notified on board radio as you're looking at Ray Davies there, and the Americans just trying to stay warm at this point.
Jackets on. You know, Todd, one thing as we go back to the actual score line here, let's talk about the racing for a second. These wins are 8-4. That 2-point penalty that Oracle got before the series even started is really, I mean, that's starting to loom large. 8-4 is a very different mindset, I think, than 8-2 at this stage. So those 2 points that were docked from Oracle, boy, you know, they're sailing quick. Like the boys out at the stand during halftime there said, they're getting faster all the time. First of all, where was that speed at the beginning of the event? You know, you wonder if the penalty, if that whole protest against Oracle, how much did that take away from these guys, from their preparation leading up to the event, especially in those 2 weeks prior? Did that take them off their game enough to not be 100% prepared before this event started? It'll, you know, the history will certainly tell.
Ken, speaking to the penalty given to Oracle Team USA for infractions incurred during the America's Cup World Series, where they were shown to have altered the boats illegally, and so the international jury said, you know what, we're going to dock you some money, a crew member, and just for good measure, how about 2 points in the America's Cup? And that was the hole that the Americans were handed prior to the start of this. So on the scoreboard, you're thinking, well, they look pretty good. They got the 4 wins, take away 2, and that's where they sit right now. So they have to, Oracle Team USA, win out for the remainder of this regatta. One more loss, and the Kiwis will take the cup back to New Zealand. Just to update you, we are in a wind delay situation. It looks beautiful. I know the pictures are fantastic. Even Alcatraz looks like a place you might want to be. And the clock now continues to come down. That is a good sign. That means the wind limit has not been hit. So we are now 10 minutes and 45 seconds away from a potential race number 13 start here. And that's the trend that we'd like to see. More white, less gold.
Wow, we could get our little break. That's, yeah, this is as close as we've gotten really since the beginning, since the clock started ticking here leading up to this race. This is as close as we've seen.
You know, Ken, I'm just right on the course here, and just about 4 boat lengths from Regardless, there's this gigantic current shear where on one side of this shear, it's sweeping out of the bay. On the other, it's not very strong at all. And that's right where the starting area is. So working out the current on that starting line is going to be an additional factor if we're able to get this race in the next 10 minutes.
Getting the race started is one thing, but they will have to get to mark number 3 without the wind limit being hit before the race can stick, as you are looking at 4-time Olympic gold medalist Ben Ainsley on board Oracle Team USA, acting as the tactician.
I've been with Oracle Team USA for about 12 months now. Got involved after the London 2012 Olympics. And my role within the team is helping the sailing team to develop, prepare for the America's Cup finals. I've had a few experiences before this with the America's Cup. The first time was with the One World Challenge back in 2003, which was another American team. And then with Emirates Team New Zealand for the 2007 Cup. We then started a British team for the 2010 America's Cup, but unfortunately that fell apart. This team is very different to the other teams I've been involved with. In a way, it's quite a corporate team because it's quite an old team now. So there is, I suppose in a way, there's that greater family that's built around the team being together for such a long period, but also it's a very big team. Driving one of these boats is probably the most intense experience I've ever had. So I sort of got chucked in at the deep end with very little practice and sort of was expected to get the boat around the course. And I had to watch a lot of what Jimmy was doing. He's done a great job developing the skills and his team. And then just getting in there and getting on with it. And it took a lot of focus. I've never concentrated so hard in my life, other than when I think I was learning to fly aeroplanes. And these AC-72s, which are, you know, not only are they massive, hugely powered monsters tearing around at ridiculous speeds, but we also have 11 guys on the boat, so it's much more about teamwork and learning the skills with this new design of boat. Definitely you can pass on these boats, and the start will be super critical.
Oracle Team USA first up on the foils and pulling forward just a little bit.
Crucial part of this race right now, boat speed contest. Who can reach fastest to this mark?
You know, if you make a bad jibe, you can lose a couple of 100 meters in these boats. If one team makes that mistake, the other team will pounce and make a pass. So I'd expect to see some closer racing. So there are certain strategies you can use. And then when you see someone's got an advantage, then I would expect the other boat to really start getting stuck in. And I think if that's the case, that Oracle need to start being more aggressive.
And there is a live shot of the San Francisco Bay, the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance. And the good news is the time continues to come down. So we have not hit the wind limit. And everyone keeping their fingers crossed as we see the white. I'll tell you what, they're smarter people than us, Ken, and that's no surprise to anyone. But they did say that the wind was dying just a little bit. So we may, in fact, get a race away here today. Now we're up against the 2:40 limit, which would be about 4 minutes away between now and then. So another time limit or a wind spike happens, it's definitely done for the day. But as long as that clock continues to come down, it is race on. As you are looking at Dean Barker, we check in on regardless with Gary Jobson.
Hey, Todd, I'm looking at the wind beyond the Golden Gate Bridge. You can see about 3 or 4 miles out there. There's several sailboats out there, and the wind actually looks a little lighter. So suddenly, happily, I'm optimistic we may be able to get a race in the next 6 minutes.
All right, good news as everyone looking the same direction. Ben Ainsley, he's got 4 Olympic gold medals, so I would probably trust him if he's looking towards that direction and thinking that the wind may in fact happen. Tom Slingsby, also an Olympic champion out there as well on board Oracle Team USA.
Well, this is why you change your jibs, you get sorted out, you stay warm with those jackets. Oh, all of our hearts just dropped right there. No, don't announce it, please. But that's why you stick with it. That's why you stay prepared. They're doing time runs. They're pretending as if this thing's going to go. And sure enough, it looks like we have a far better chance than we ever imagined at this stage.
Hey, Ken, I'm looking over that New Zealand boat. They've got a sail up that looks about the size of a postage stamp compared to the wind.
And what a beautiful sight as the start flags are unfurled.
So we're not out of the woods yet. I hate to be the downer here, Todd, but we still got to stay underneath this 30-second limit right up to the start. And then that 30-second average turns into a 5-minute average. So if the start can happen, there's a much more likely scenario that the race actually can be finished. Oh,
and that is a beautiful sight right there.
Bad trend. Come on, baby. Come back down, please.
Kenny, you and I spent our whole life waiting for the wind to come up. Now we're waiting for it to go down. How unusual is this?
It's a shame. It is just a shame, but it is, like Ian said, it is what it is. These are the rules. This is what everybody agreed to, and we just got to stick with them. We just got to hope here, Todd. Fingers and toes crossed at this stage, all over the world.
Four minutes away from the start. This will be race number 13, and just to update you, New Zealand needs 1 victory. This could be a clinching race for the Kiwis to take the America's Cup back to New Zealand. A small smile on the face of Dean Barker for the Americans. They have to win out. 1 more loss, and it is over.
Keep in mind that Oracle is coming in from that favored side. They get a 10-second jump into the start box that has been pivotal in many of these races, especially with this outgoing ebb current.
So the jackets are off, and it looks like we will, in fact, go sailing here. Race number 2 on the bay of day 9. Jimmy Spithill and company look determined.
Got him rattled, Big Joe.
Todd, I always found it was really hard. When you're in the middle of postponements like that, it's really hard to keep mentally prepared, physically prepared. You have to work at it. And these guys, by having their jackets on, warming up, doing a bunch of time runs, that's really very professional. They've done it. They've done a good job just getting themselves back in race mode.
Pretty much on time here.
So once again, port entry belongs to Oracle Team USA. They get the advantage. What can they do with it? And will Mother Nature cooperate?
Todd, interesting. You heard Dean Barker say, "He's the wing, he's the wing, he's the wing." They actually got in irons there for a second. They're quite late coming into the start box because they actually lost control of their boat for just a second. It was too close to the wind. Maybe they aren't quite as prepared as we thought they were for this start.
Diving. I'm going to transfer Ray.
So the dance begins 90 seconds away from the start of race number 13.
Let's keep your fingers and toes crossed, folks. But he still just has to go over that.
Sorry, guys. We've hit the wind limit and we've got no chance of starting inside our tyre.
I had a bad feeling about this. It just looked like the breeze was on a little bit more out there. Oh, this is incredible. I'm looking at the 30-second average, Todd, right now, and it just popped over for, I mean, literally about 3 seconds. It's going to take away our second race of the day again.
Yeah, we'll just tack around, Bisha, yeah. Turning up here in 3.
So final decisions being made. Wind limit exceeded. There will be no more racing today. Day number 9 of the 34th America's Cup. So everyone heading back to the dock. Well, I guess just for the sake of filling time here, Kenny, who had the better start there in the box? Whose position did you like if this thing would have gone off?
Well, it was very interesting. We pointed out, you know, the wing got a little tight there, and Dean Barker didn't pull the trigger to get into that start box quite as quick as he wanted to. It's called getting in irons or getting a little too close to the wind. Hey, whether that would have cost them or not once they got into the start box, who knows? But definitely the gap between the two boats, it would have, if you were a betting man, you would have put slightly better odds on Oracle being able to position themselves better leading up to that start with this big time ebb current going out the bay.
So the 34th America's Cup gets pushed to Friday, at least one more day as the Kiwis look for that final clinch. Let's go back and look at this one more time because it was very interesting. The Americans look keen to get this victory here and continue to push it. And Ken, you saw the wind building. Talk about what's going on board Emirates Team New Zealand.
Well, they only get a 10-second entry. You know, they get that 10-second entry window to advantage to Oracle, and then these guys are just simply late. And there's going to be a big gap between these two boats. It tends to favor the boat entering early. They get to line themselves up quite a bit better to head back exactly at the time that they think they need to. All of a sudden, Team New Zealand would have been a bit on their back foot. But as we saw yesterday, Todd, in that second race, that actually abandoned race yesterday, you know, that you can still make up for it, but it certainly increases the odds in Oracle's favor at this stage. These guys were already starting to kind of line themselves up, head back, get down to that low lay line, that left-hand end lay line. That's where they would have gone.
No chance of starting inside our tyre.
The rest is history.
So that is the end of play for the day.
So that was the frustrating point, and just to add insult to injury, the wind has dropped back down, but unfortunately we have gone past the limit here, and there can be no more racing on the bay. So race number 13 is postponed until Friday. So the Kiwis will have to wait another day to possibly clinch the America's Cup, and for Team USA, they will hold on to the cup, excuse me, at least one more day. And there it was, that small, we're talking seconds that it dipped above and then came right back down.
All right, the flat line also there is actually not a perfect way of putting it because I think they've shut off the wind speed at that stage, right? But I'm looking at another graph that we have that you can't see on live television, and it's, you want to hear this, or are you going to get mad? 16.7 knots of wind speed average, right?
Which would be next to perfect sailing conditions.
You think? Oh.
So Oracle Team USA will give a nice flyby. The crowd, the folks that have stuck with it all day long. I mean, these are people that got here at 10 o'clock in the morning when America's Cup Park opens up to get the prime real estate on the front row at the end of that pier. And here is their reward.
You know, you really wonder if this is helping out Oracle because, again, they are, like the guys in the booth during the halftime show said,
whoa.
They, well, first of all, these guys are gutsy. They know their boat at this stage. But secondly, they're getting faster every day, you know, and today they showed some serious pace upwind, pace that we've never seen. That upwind speed average was pretty spectacular. So, you know, you never know. I guess you never know. They keep saying, don't count us out. It's hard not to count you out at 8-1, but you never know.
Well, Gary, you can bring regardless back home. Your thoughts on the day?
Well, a good day for Oracle Team USA. Momentum goes there in their direction. Let's not forget, they can't afford to make any mistakes. You know what this reminds me a little bit of? The Super Bowl last year when we had that big timeout with the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers, and that momentum definitely shifted in favor of Baltimore in that game. Anyway, it's a good news for Oracle, and every time they have a little time off, they get faster. We'll see how they do tomorrow.
All right, we will have more from Gary Jobson tomorrow. It'll be day number 10, race 13, scheduled to go off at 1:15 local time. As Mother Nature will certainly rule the day. Will we need 2 races tomorrow? Will one do it for the Kiwis? We will have to find out. What we do want to bring you, though, is some great racing action from yesterday. It was race number 11 from right here in San Francisco on very similar conditions where the ebb tide was building and the wind was coming up. And just like today, just one race was contested. It was race number 11 from Wednesday in San Francisco, California, and the 34th America's Cup. Dean Barker coming close to the line at 2:10. They have now entered into the start box, and we are set to go racing. Day number 8, race number 11.
Todd, I think the pressure is squarely on Oracle here. It's probably an understatement. Team New Zealand, if they think about this, they can sail pretty loose. Really be aggressive at the start. If I were the Kiwis, I'd be super aggressive in this start because you win the start, there's a reasonable chance you can go on to win the race.
One quick difference between the two boats. I noticed that the New Zealand jib, the forward sail, is larger in area than the American boat.
Well, we turn to the president of North Sales. Ken, do you think that's an advantage for the Kiwis, or the Americans got it wrong?
I think these guys know exactly what their boat needs. Both boats are different, probably different in how they're balanced, and I think we can't doubt that these guys have the correct jib up for the right condition, both of them. You know, Team New Zealand actually headed back for the start line a little earlier than I thought they would in this particular situation, but look for them to really protect down to the left side of their boat as Oracle approaches from behind.
Same as the other day.
I heard Ray Davies say same as the other day. They're really going to protect that bottom lay line, that left side of the track here right now.
Okay, trim. Get the height.
20 seconds to the line.
Big advantage Kiwis right now. They're both very firm on the wind right now, Gary.
New Zealand looking very strong, Ken.
The all clear has sounded, and the Kiwis will have the advantage at the line. Better positioning, and they are closer to mark number 1.
And they're just going to luff these guys right now. They're going to get them slow. Even though the starting gun is already gone, they're going to try to get them slow and really make a big gain once their speed's really parked. Great job by Dean Barker, really well thought out. Again, that port entry was the difference. They never relinquished being the blocker, in that starting sequence.
Actually, I think Spinhill did a good job hanging in there, being patient, and only being a length behind after that first start.
And now it's the drag race to mark number 1. Emirates, Team New Zealand, first to the circle. They'll make the left-hand turn with the Americans close behind. This is race number 11 on day number 8, and it's a 3-second advantage to the Kiwis.
You can see the differences in size of the jib. Notice the New Zealand jib is bigger.
And the Americans are the first to peel off.
You heard the tactician Ray Davies on board Emirates Team New Zealand say, we'll just drag this out a little bit longer. They're not worried about their air getting the dirty air, disturbed air coming from Oracle. They're just going to look to spread it out a little bit here and start planning for later in the leg. Find the right time and the right breeze pressure to jibe in.
And at mark number 2, the Kiwis head to the far gate, and the Americans do indeed split the course. So what was a 3-second lead at mark number 1, the Americans now trailed by 6 seconds, but they've got their split.
But a really good rounding by Oracle. That's an incredibly hard maneuver on board these boats. Grinding hydraulics, grinding sails, grinding dagger boards up and down, and they made it look very easy.
That's too far away for boundary. Bring it up there on the breeze. Not that spiral. Keep going, guys. Normal numbers. Nice and smooth.
And we have a lead change as the Americans have overtaken New Zealand here on leg number 3. The big question now is, can they make it stick?
But they're one tack behind. Now it's going to be this incredible contest of who starts getting the right-hand side again. If they're 2 even boats, could just be this dipping contest of who keeps trying to get starboard tack advantage.
Yeah, they're gaining there.
As I look up the race course, I think the right side where New Zealand is, the wind is shifting in that direction toward Alcatraz Island. Better for New Zealand.
Yeah, stand by here.
This is all about whether Team New Zealand will have a 3 or so boat length lead. If they do, Todd, look for them to tack right in front of Oracle. If they don't, they're going to have to cross and start this whole dipping contest all over again. Crucial moment in the race early on, and they do a lead bow tack, trying to keep starboard tack. They thought they were far enough ahead, and clearly they were. This is a great move by Emirates Team New Zealand.
And the Americans decide to tack away. But we've seen this play out before where the Kiwis basically are in control of this race.
But this is a little different than the last race because the Kiwis got to set this whole process up well over on the left side of the race course. They get to shorten the track here a little bit and possibly start bouncing Oracle off that left-hand boundary. Here they go. They're going to go right back at them.
3, 2, 1, tack it.
A simultaneous tack from both the Americans and New Zealand. This is leg 3 of 5, race number 11. The Kiwis need 2 more wins, and the cup is theirs.
And those 2 tacks on both boats were just perfect tacks.
So the Kiwis take it all the way to the lay line on the left side of the course. We'll see if they can take it in all the way. And Jimmy Spithill and company look like they are set up as well.
Todd, that was not Oracle's best tack right there. They got down to 10 knots in that tack. They didn't pop that weather hull out of the water real quickly, and that cost them a little bit of time. New Zealand did a really nice job, Gary, at the top of this leg.
Yeah, he's across on line.
Very close cross here, but New Zealand looking good.
At mark number 3, the Kiwis, who had a 3-second lead at mark 1, a 6-second lead at mark number 2, and they will continue to pad that lead. This time it will be into the double digits as the Americans come through at gate number 3 and make the turn for home. They are now trailing Emirates Team New Zealand by 17 seconds.
New Zealand has a good chance to jive and block the wind of Oracle Team USA. So New Zealand is in the driver's seat.
I don't think Oracle's laying this gate right now, Gary, anyway. They've gotten lifted a little bit as the 2 boats have come together.
His drive's okay, he's clear ahead.
It's now under 100 meters, the lead for the Kiwis.
The little pressure showing on New Zealand there. That wasn't their best jibe. Still a little loose on after the jibe. Both boats are going to have to soak to get around this mark.
Soak, sail a lower course.
Thank you.
At mark number 4, the race is on. The Kiwis have relinquished a huge lead that was over 300 meters, and now it's down to about 85 meters, but just 1 leg to go as the Americans are close behind.
Both boats got really slow there. They ended up overstanding the mark, being slightly upwind of the mark, but it doesn't seem to matter. New Zealand is in dominant position again.
On board Oracle Team USA as they make the mark 18 seconds behind.
I think that look on Jimmy Spithill's face told the entire story.
The body language there, it was a great last-second gasp. You look like they closed it, and it almost seemed like Emirates Team New Zealand, Kenny, gave them the opening. As you pointed out, not their best jibe in this regatta.
Surprising, but talk about being under pressure. They got the they got the America's Cup peeking around the corner right now. It just wasn't their best jibe. They need to be a little smoother in those tough, tight spots, but just enough to stay ahead.
You know, Kenny, if that wind had stayed the same direction for Oracle Team USA for about 30 more seconds, they would have been exactly even. The wind did them in.
Day number 8, race number 11 belongs to Emirates Team New Zealand. The Kiwis now just 1 win away from the America's Cup. And the Americans with a fantastic 3rd and 4th leg. It just wasn't to be, as Gary pointed out. The wind did them in, and they just didn't have enough pressure to catch them. Umpires are key to laying down the law in match race sailing. They work in the background, but their decisions can affect who wins the cup and who doesn't. For this regatta, umpiring has been revolutionized. The on-water umpires blast around at 60 knots, and key decisions are made on land in a digital umpire booth.
Clear, just clear. Clear, clear, clear.
Mike Martin is director of umpiring at the America's Cup.
There's a lot of firsts in this America's Cup, and the umpiring is really the leading edge of technology, much like the boats are. So in the umpiring, we're using the raw data, and we take that into a program that we developed, and we actually track the boats to 2-centimeter accuracy. We can look at that data, we can fast forward, we can freeze frame, we can zoom up, and we can see the exact positions of the boats at the critical moments. I don't think there's any other sport that does real-time officiating with video and digital data, so we're actually leading the edge for all sports in that area.
Overlap, 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 clear, clear, clear.
The on-the-water umpires, we're still making those calls that can really only be made from the water. Those judgment calls on was the boat doing everything they could to keep clear. They can see how the sails are trimmed and how the crew's reacting. So that key information that's not available on the computer screen. The tough part is now the boats are going 40 knots. They used to go 10 knots. So we've had to really make big steps up in the performance of the umpire ribs to be able to keep up with the boats. And we actually have a military boat that does 60 knots. It's a 43-foot twin turbo diesel, 1,200 horsepower racing machine, really.
Clear, overlap, 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 overlap.
Gun, clear. Pre-start is the most exciting part of the whole race. The rules are designed intentionally to make the boats interface in that period. And so, they enter and then they're fighting for position, right up until they cross the starting line. So that's where we're seeing most of our calls, and that's really where we're on the edges of our seats.
From a sailing point of view, it makes the penalties completely immediate. Recently, I think it's been tweaked, and more often than not, it's pretty spot on.
I think the umpiring system works really well. It's pretty clear and visual on board if you have a penalty, if you don't. And it's much better than them trying to chase you down at 40 knots waving flags at you.
Back in San Francisco on a too windy of a day, but just barely, as the second race is called off. So we'll push things to day number 10. It'll be Friday and the showdown in September as we get awfully close to the showdown in October. But it is Emirates Team New Zealand still just needing one victory to take the America's Cup. The Americans have to win out. Ken, your final thoughts.
Well, Kiwis, if you're the Kiwis, shake it off. But don't stop getting faster. Americans are getting faster every day.
So that'll wrap things up here in San Francisco for day number 9. We will look to see you back here with us on day 10 on Friday to see if the Kiwis can, in fact, get the America's Cup and close this thing down, or will the Americans continue to extend it? For Gary Jobson and Ken Reed, I'm Todd Harris saying so long from now.